What's up, y'all? It's me again. Yeah, so I've been looking at this Michigan stuff for a while. I'm a little bit of a pessimist when it comes to all this. I'll get to that shortly. But who else is excited for part two of Dune? Damn it. I think it just came out. Also, I'm probably going to be starting a second channel pretty soon, not sports related. Another passion I have is music. So it's going to be a channel about music and not like teaching you how to play stuff. There's way better musicians than me. They already exist on YouTube. They can show you all that crap. No, just a same opinionated asshole, but about music instead of just about football, Big 12, TCU, that kind of stuff. Oh, and finally, it's gotten a little bit cold outside. I've been looking forward to that. And I understand some of you may be uh, in a higher elevated state or somewhere up north and you dread this time of year. Well, in Texas, let's say this is one of our worst summers we've had. Boy, it seemed like damn near every day was 108, 110, sweating your balls off, just dying. And Texas will kill you. I don't care what anyone says. It will absolutely kill you when the blast furnace ignites. And it was on full blast this summer and it sucked. And you're talking to a UPS guy. That's hard living. It's good money, but it's a hard way to earn it, man. Very hard. But I am looking forward to Dune. I don't know. I'm kind of a sci-fi dork. I'm a dork in a lot of ways. Call me a dork, I might slap you, but I don't know. Maybe that's my 90s old man shit coming out. Yeah, so that music channel, I'm probably just going to call it Numbskull Music. Keep it simple. So I'll let everyone know when that drops if you care. If you care. Uh, I won't really be covering pop music except, only to make fun of it. I'm more of a metalhead myself, although I may venture into sometimes a little country, but probably not. Uh, I will find bands to take a shit on, things of that nature, things I hate. Uh, but, well, look at there. Got us some comments already. Mike Smith, what's up? Jeff Woodworth, what is up? Should I click on it? I will. Oddly enough, within the last 5 years or so, parts of Texas has had more ice or snow than some parts of West Virginia. Oh, by the way, nice shocker thumbnail, decent soundtrack from that movie. Hey, you caught it. Not a lot of people uh, bother to watch that movie or even can pick it out from anything. Let's see here. Jeff Woodworth, Numbskull, a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. I would say a whole lot of heavy metal and a little bit of country. And you can sprinkle in some old school gangster rap. I won't hate you. Ghetto Boys ain't bad. Yep. Hey, man, my hair looks like dog shit. So, and plus, like I said, I just came outside, had me a nice, comfortable cigarette, and I said to hell with it, leave it up. Now, let's see. Another waste of CFP meeting. Surprised? No. I am not surprised, Immaculate. I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love nothing more than to get rid of this Oregon State, Washington State problem, but it ain't going nowhere. It's not going anywhere. Jay Baller 54, what's up? Big game this weekend for KU. I think we still roll. I think Kansas has got that. That's what I think. All right. Well, let me get to this crap that I've been the thumbnails about, the Michigan BS. All right, well, the last thing was Dan Wetzel. All right. Now, if you're a fan of Greg Flugar, which I am, peek around the corner, he did a great job. Now, there was this Twitter account, Big Ten something or other, that really busted down this Dan Wetzel article. And it's not really an article. It's more of just propaganda for Michigan. It's what it comes across like. Real ass bandit. But who is Dan Wetzel? All right. Old Dan went to the University of Massachusetts. Amherst was the editor of the newspaper. Figures. Majored in political science. What does that mean? That means he's a turd. only the worst jackholes will major in political science. He's been with Yahoo Sports since 2003. He's been honored more than a dozen times by who? The Associated Press, the sports editors, of course. He's a regular finalist for the National Sports Writer of the Year. He's got a weekly radio show with Pat Forty, one of the most boring humans ever. Podcast with Pat Forty and Ross Dillinger. Now, I've had my doubts about Ross Dillinger. I'm not saying he's a horrific journalist or anything, but I have some doubts of that reporting. But Mr. Flugar went through that article, and you could smell the bullshit. I could smell it through my phone as I was watching Peek Around the Corner's video, or the replay of the live stream. It was disgusting. It was horseshit. And everything he said is easily refuted. As Mr. Flugar said, read the damn rule book. And that article, if he would have read it, that whole article is different. It just sounds different. He writes it differently. But he has no interest in that. He has way more interest in pulling on his political science degree to fill his readers full of bullshit. That's what he does. All right. And so, look, we're in a day and age where modern journalism has died. It sucks. And if you think that's only political journalism or CNN, Fox, MSNBC, who else? The New York Times, right? If you think it's only those people, no, it's the sports people too. They're really, really full of shit. They got all their favorites. And apparently Dan Wetzel, he has a real hard-on for Michigan. He wants to provide cover, and he's not alone. There's a lot of major journalists out there providing cover for this freaking outfit. Now, keep in mind, SMU, USC, there's been others. All right, but those are probably the two big ones we're all instantly aware of, right? SMU, Pony Excess, all of that, death penalty. USC, the Reggie Bush scandal. And it didn't really get reported, but there was a basketball scandal and even a women's tennis scandal when it came to USC. Now, SMU, we're all aware, got the death penalty. But before that, all right, they had a first. I had to write this crap down. They had that wasn't their first go round of penalties. The first penalty, they had a bowl ban for 2 years and they lost 45 scholarships. And then they got their whole program suspended for 2 years, the death penalty. And it hasn't been enacted again since. Right? People kind of see it as like a nuke. Keep in mind, that death penalty wasn't because of Eric Dickerson. No one knows why he went to SMU. Wink, wink. No one knows why he went to SMU. He first committed to Texas A&M, and A&M actually bought him a Pontiac Trans Am, which is kind of known as a Pontiac Trans A&M. So why did everyone come down so hard on SMU? I mean, paying a few players, who cares? I mean, they were brazen about it, sure. But what got them in real trouble is stealing players, quote unquote, stealing players like Eric Dickerson. Imagine what Eric Dickerson could have done for A&M back in the day. I mean, look what he did for SMU. He was him and what was his name? Craig James or whatever, the Pony Express. They were just killing people. Well, you can't do that when you're a small shitbag program in the middle of Dallas. All right, it had like 9,000 students at the time. Nothing. Yeah, the big dogs won't like that very much. And by the way, those penalties, they were a repeat offender. All those programs were repeat offenders. Oklahoma, Texas, USC, all of them. A&M. As I said, they done bought Eric Dickerson a freaking Trans Am. That smells like payment to me. But when you're a little program, you can't just go out and steal the big dogs players. They don't like that very much. They just don't. Ask Nick Saban. How dare Jackson State take a player from him? A player, one 5-star guy. Albeit he's a badass, but there's only one. And he was just going nuts about it. How dare you go to an HBCU? How dare you try to do something positive for your culture, for your people, you know? No, you're supposed to come to Alabama and play for this white prick. But, you know. Now, the USC penalty. They had to vacate their 2004 national championship. I mean, I guess that hurt somebody's feelings. They vacated 14 wins. Now, here's where the teeth of the whole thing came down. And by the way, the punishment was like years and years later. They got a postseason ban for 2 years. 2 years. 3 years of scholarship losses. I think in total it was like 35 scholarships they lost. Also, their basketball team got a 1-year postseason ban, and the women's tennis had to give up some wins. Now, you might say, well, that's pretty damn harsh. These schools paid players. They provided things like houses for family and things of that nature. Shit that's been going on in college sports forever. Now, USC is a big old gigantic freaking blue blood, right? So is it a little surprising they got hit that hard, the 2-year, postseason ban? I guess, yeah. It was a little surprising, but you got to remember, that made such huge news, they had to do something. I would say it's a much bigger news story back then than Michigan is now. SMU was a huge story too. But keep in mind with SMU, like I said, if that was, I don't know, if that was A&M paying players, and they did, do you get those kind of penalties? I don't think so. Don't think so. They may have gotten a postseason ban. They don't get no death penalty. Now we come to Michigan. Now, did they pay players before it was legal? Yeah, but they're not in trouble for that. Do they pay players now? Yeah, but it's legal now, as it should be. What did they do? They actually their infractions actually go to the integrity of the game. That's what we're talking about, the integrity of the game. You see, especially in this modern era of sports and college sports, there's a lot of intermingling with sports books, legal gambling. And the last thing you want to do with your gambling partners is have rigged games or heavy cheating. And that's what that was. And I'm sorry, I have to address it. The advanced scouting. Oh, that's, you know what that reminds me of, the alt right, right? Which, that term did not exist until Trump became president, and it was put in place specifically to go after Trump supporters. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not. I won't ask anybody. You ain't got to tell. But whether you like them or hate them, it was kind of bullshit for our quote unquote news media, our quote unquote journalists, to come out with this bullshit title of alt right because someone's wearing a MAGA hat. I mean, you're basically trying to equate them to the Klan at that point. That's what that was about, trying to shame everybody. And this shit here, this advanced scouting, Mr. Wetzel, it's a that another bullshit journalist, fake fucking journalist, a guy with no integrity, none, writing articles, National Writer of the Year. Yeah, propagandist of the year. He's the Chemical Ali of sports journalism. Kiss my ass. All right. Coming out with this bullshit term, advanced scouting. No, it's called cheating, ass wipe. That's what it is. Expressly against the rules of the Big Ten. And I'm pretty sure the NCAA as well. You're not allowed to film an opponent's sideline while they're playing other games before you get to play them. That way you can steal all their shit. Yeah. But like I said, that's integrity of the game. You might as well have stolen their playbook. Yeah, I kind of might as well have. So, yeah, that's cheating. And if you think about what football is in essence, it's a strategy game. Yeah, it's brutal, whatever. People get hurt all the time, CTE, you name it. But it's a strategy game. So signs, signals, playbooks are very important. So you can strategize against your opponent. And if you have all their information, guess what? You just cheated. Everything that football is supposed to be, it's not anymore. It's now the WWE when you play Michigan. It's predetermined. So that's a huge integrity issue. All right, that's something I'm kind of familiar with. I've been working for UPS for a little over 4 years now, and driving for them. I am part of the Teamsters Union, and trust me, as an hourly, it is nearly impossible for UPS to fire any union worker. That's what it means to be in the Teamsters. Good luck getting rid of my ass. The only way, now, despite all of that union protection, all right, despite all that, when there's an integrity issue, all right, you stole something, you're falsifying information, you're signing signatures for people, you're doing all this and that. When you get caught, you're terminated, you're gone. Union can't save you, because integrity is what it's all about. In this, what I do, customers have to be able to depend that you're not some lying, cheating, stealing some bitch with their property. And in terms of football, the integrity of the game, if you don't have that, well, why watch at that point? Why watch at that point? If you're going to put bets down, you might as well bet on, I don't even watch wrestling anymore. I'm trying to think of somebody. Yeah, go ahead and put money on Roman Reigns to win the next match in whatever pay-per-view or used to be a pay-per-view. That's what it is. So what should happen to Michigan? It's way worse than paying players or giving them cars or giving mama a house or whatever. Paying for plane tickets or food or clothes, the next greatest Air Jordans or whatever it is. It's way worse. Absolutely way worse. So what should happen to him? The death penalty? Probably. I mean, if you're going to give the death penalty to SMU because they paid some players, that's not an integrity of the game issue. You say, well, they were brazenly paying players. Well, so was everybody else. They didn't get caught. They didn't get caught. They got turned in by a bunch of rats. All right, all these blue blood rats turned them in. And they used a couple of players who got cut, sent packing, who were pissed off. They're the ones that turned them in. That's what happened. Should they get the death penalty? Yeah. Will they? Absolutely not. No, they make way too much money for the conference. So what's Petitti going to do? What is Petitti going to do? How about jack shit? You hear about, he's getting pressured from, all the other coaches and ADs in the conference and the presidents or whatever. Is he going to do something? I mean, is it completely nothing? No, it's not nothing, but it'll basically be nothing. Will Harbaugh be suspended? Sure. Harbaugh should be banned from ever coaching another college game. Let's start there. Everybody on his coaching staff fired, banned. Actually, I mean, the coordinator should be banned for life. You don't get to coach in college football ever again. All the underlings, ban them for for the next couple of years so they can't get another job for the next couple of years. You got to start setting examples. You're going to see that note. Harbaugh's going to get a couple of game suspension. Maybe 3. Might get some of that. There'll be a fine. They'll assess a fine. The NCAA may come down on them. There may be a postseason ban for a season, maybe 2. Who knows? Whenever the NCAA gets around to that. I heard they put a rush, on this whole deal. Maybe within the next year, you'll find out what they're going to levy against the school. Don't know. But I guarantee you it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be what they've earned. If anyone has earned a death penalty in the last 30 years, it's Michigan. Are you kidding me? You're stealing sensitive personal information from the Air Force. Why do you think the FBI is crawling up their asshole? Because you got some smarmy little bastard coming out of the Air Force Academy, stealing records and sharing it with the coaching staff of Michigan. Yeah. There's no institutional control of that program. Well, Harbaugh doesn't know. Well, if he doesn't know, then there's a big freaking problem. Don't give me that he didn't know shit. I'm sorry. I don't think it should be a full death penalty. I don't believe in the full death penalty like SMU. I just don't. I'm a proponent of the death penalty for humans, yes, but not really for programs. However, In a case like this, you need to shut that program down for a year. That's what should happen. It won't. It won't. Should there be a bowl ban? Yeah, at least a 3-year bowl ban. And you should lose scholarships for the next 5 years. I'm talking 50, 60 plus scholarships. Scholarships ought to be gone. Gone. You really need to kick them in the taint. Is Petiti going to do all that? No. Is the NCAA? They might do some of it, but I guarantee you it won't be. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if the NCAA does a postseason ban. And it should be. A 3-year postseason ban. There should be that with Michigan. You got to teach people that this shit ain't cool. And you don't do that by, we're gonna suspend your coach for 2 games. Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn about that? All right. I'm gonna get back into some of these comments now that I'm done. Let's see here. Mike Smith, nothing from the CFP meeting, nothing it would seem when it comes to doing anything to Harbaugh. Thought they would do it today with the long weekend. Yeah, I don't think so there, Mike. And the CFP wouldn't. Well, I guess technically they could say, okay, we're banning. The CFP could do it. But, you're talking about a bunch of... I don't think the Big Ten is going to allow. I think they'll step in and, whoever their representation of the CFP is, will step in and say, no, we ain't doing that, player. We ain't doing that. Jeff Woolworth, owner of Wetzel's Pretzels. Mike Smith, Wetzel taking heat from different forums over that Provada piece. He should be taking heat. If he has a journalism card, he should have to turn that shit in, because that wasn't journalism. That was horse shit. That was propaganda, BS, pro-Michigan crap. And that's not what he should be writing if he's a journalist, an investigative journalist. Horse shit. Immaculate. How about the weird media dude that threatened Bob Iger on X to never go back to Disney World again if Feinbaum wasn't fired? I did not hear that or anything about that, but it does sound interesting. Threatened Bob Iger, huh? Good luck. Jeff Woodworth, Pat, I'm a man. I am 40. Mike Smith, not heard that, Immaculate. Yeah, I haven't heard that one either. That's crazy. Immaculate, I like what Ross writes, but that dude seems owned by Sankey. That's the problem there, Immaculate. I'm not saying Mr. Wetzel is a bad writer. I'm sure he's got talent. The thing is, he's a little bought bitch is what he is. And Ross Dillinger, yeah, he's a freaking talking parrot for Sankey. All right, Sankey's got his hand up his ass, running his mouth for him. And I just don't, that's not what journalism should be or should be doing. And everything Ross writes about that shit is like, he writes as if Sankey really does run everything. And apparently he doesn't. Mike Smith, however, this Connor Stallion shit is reaching conspiracy level stuff. Oliver Stone movie stuff crazy. Yeah, unfortunately, there's actual footage of him recording shit and there's proof that he paid people to do. I think he said so himself he did. And then he's on the sideline talking directly to the coordinators. So that's about as red-handed as it gets. Jeff Woodworth, Connor Stallion's owner of the world's best vacuum repair shop. Yeah. Mike Smith, him having been part of the Arizona football at one time and now the Arizona scandal with millions missing is just bizarre. The guy's special. That's all I can say. Jeff Woodworth, Immaculate, will Iowa break 14 this weekend? Depends on who they play, if you ask me, Jeff. Mike Smith, it is like this guy is in a CIA It is like this guy is a CIA operator with his hands all over the place. Next, we will find he was a bookie for one of the Iowa players or something. Yeah. All right. Jeff Woodward, Skip Bayless buried SMU. I don't know. I don't think he's got a whole lot. You know what? He's probably got a little more integrity than Dan Wetzel. I'll tell you that freaking much. Let's see. Oh, screwed up. Jeff Woodworth, what's going on with the ASU swimmer leading a suit against the Power Five for missing NIL and TV revenue sharing? A swimmer, really? I will say this, Jeff. The people that's bringing in the most money, personally, like per person, NIL, is not football players. Most of them are female, like gymnasts, runners, even swimmers. And it's the females that are kicking ass in NIL. They don't have. I cannot believe this is. I know it's all this shit's coming from California. You get it up to federal courts. You get it up there. That shit ain't gonna pass muster. SMU swimmer leading a suit against a Power Five for missing NIL and TV. Well, you know what that's called? Tough shit. You were born a little bit too early. Biatch. Then you want to sue. For what? For being too old to swim now? Shut up. Life's tough sometimes. Wear a cup. Mike Smith. Times is hard, Jeff. Don't fuck with the man's cash. Yeah. Jeff Woodward, Reggie Bush even had his fingers in a women's tennis. Well, I know he's asking for his damn Heisman back, and he ought to get it because it's bullshit. He should have never lost it in the first place. Immaculate, the death penalty will never happen again. This was simply ugly politics while the entire media was owned on one side. That is very, very true. It's called access. That's what the journalists want, even in sports journalism. They want access to the people at A&M, to the people at Texas and Oklahoma and USC and Alabama, Tennessee, you name it, all the big Notre Dame. All right. So they're going to get their back. And then as they are doing the same exact thing that SMU is doing, they're going to screw SMU and teach all you little bastard schools a lesson to never do what we do, never compete with us. Don't ever get your grubby little shit hands on one of our 5 stars. You go fuck around with your 2 and 3 stars. Those 5 stars do not belong to SMU. They don't belong to a group of 5, shithole school. They belong to us. I'm going to teach you a lesson. That was the politics of it. Unfortunately, they're immaculate. And that's probably the biggest part of college football and why I've stayed pretty clear away from college football for a very long time. Because it was just so apparent how everything worked. I've always, and even to this day, I still kind of prefer the NFL. Because it's all about money. There's no pretense. There's no horseshit. There's no, the poor student athlete. Fuck you with the student athlete. There's none of that. And like I said several times on my channel here, there is no richer, popular team than the Dallas Cowboys. Yet they do not have any real uh, advantages over any other team because there's a salary cap. Everyone can spend the same money, and you can only spend. Now, if there was no salary cap, we'd be swimming in trophies right now, swimming in them. Have a pool full of nothing but Lombardis all over this bitch. There wouldn't be room for people from California to move in here because we're not going to clear out all these Lombardis to make room for you sons of bitches. That's what it would be without a salary cap. But there's a salary cap. And college football is not that way. There are truly the haves and the have-nots. There is a middle class. It's called the Big 12. And that's why I root for the Big 12. The Big 12 has brought me back to college football when I've been away for a while. Because I didn't like how the political shit went down with college football. It just made me want to puke. But now you got NIL. Now you got the transfer portal. Things are a little bit more equitable. Not fully equitable. Never will be. But you can now, dare I say, get a few 5 stars and 4 stars to go to other schools that are not the top 5, top 10 programs. So it's better. I can get into it more now. Mike Smith, scandals of today get leaked out due to the internet and social media. Back in the day, it had to be pretty bad for it all to come out, as many things were just hush-hush. You do have a point there, Mike. Also, when it comes to SMU and how all that shit got out, it's a lot of toadies around the league that didn't like them getting their players. They aided in a lot of that. And plus, you got a lot of journalists who went to those schools who also wanted to get at SMU because they're taking their team's players. So there's a reason it was made such a big deal. It shouldn't have been. You're just talking about SMU here. If this wasn't Notre Dame, but they were acting like it's fucking Notre Dame. See, Immaculate Michigan will get some suspensions and some fines. Yeah, but it's not going to be much right now, Immaculate. Like I said, there's not going to be no postseason ban. I think it's probably only... Well, actually, the CFP could ban them from the playoff. They could say, nope. No, we don't take cheaters. They could do that, but they're not going to. And even if they tried, the Big Ten would probably ixnay that. The NCAA, I could see them maybe doing maybe a 1-year postseason ban, lose a few scholarships. Like I said, I think it should be at least a 3-year postseason ban. At least a 3-year. I'm not advocating for the death penalty. I'm just saying if anyone has earned it, it's Michigan. If anyone has ever earned it in this entire league, it's Michigan. So that's some cheating bullshit going on. And it's really even more disgusting because it is Michigan, an incredibly rich university with every advantage under the sun. Why the hell are you cheating? Why are you taking federal documents from the Air Force? All right, you should have turned that little bastard in as soon as you saw that. Like, hey, it's like someone bringing in like a kilo of fentanyl. Like, get that shit out of here. That's what they should have done. Instead, they're like, ooh, we can use some of that info. Mike Smith, NCAA will force Michigan to fire Fuentes as OC, not O-line coach. Well, like I said, as far as NCAA, what is NCAA or really Petitti? This is one thing Petitti can do. He can absolutely ban Harbaugh or any coach from ever having a job in the Big Ten. He can do that. And I guarantee you there's some other Big Ten institutions that would love to see that happen to Jim Harbaugh. So make it happen. He won't, but it should. Makes me think of a wet pretzel. Dan Wetzel, the wet pretzel. Yep. Ken Rivera, what's up, dude? But if Michigan gets the death penalty, how will they justify putting them in the playoff? They won't get the death penalty there, Ken. I'm just saying if anyone's ever earned it, they have, but they won't ever get anything like that. They should get a postseason ban. Absolutely. Mike Smith, remember Baghdad Bob? That guy was a hoot. Wetzel is pulling a Bob on this story. He's bobbing all right. Slobbing the bobbing all over Michigan. Jeff Woodworth, this is Petitti's Donald Sterling moment. If he does nothing, he loses all credibility with the rest of the Big Ten. It won't help him. It won't help him. Because they've already made their money before he even got there. So I would say he's got some things to prove, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much. And what little he does do, suspensions and fines, blah, who cares about any of that? What he does do, all right, he's going to come to everybody like, look, I did the full extent of what I could do at this time. The NCAA's got a blah, 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 and that's the roundabout thing Petitti's going to. He's going to politically worm his way out of it. Petitti should not worry about what he does, and if he pisses off Michigan, he should have the backing of the pissed off coaches and ADs of the other Big Ten teams and schools. And apparently he does. But I'm starting to wonder. And even if the NCAA comes back around, how much power are they going to have? I mean, everyone's suing the shit out of the NCAA right now. I don't know how much stroke they have to get anything done against Michigan either. I'm saying it may happen. I'm saying NCAA is not the powerhouse it used to be. Michigan Wolverines, untouchables. They very, very well may be. Great movie with a great soundtrack there, Mike. Jeff Woodworth, Michigan will get a warning. Central Michigan will get the death penalty. Thank you, Jeff Woodworth. That's brilliantly put. They'll get a little hand slap. But look, you let Tulane do exactly what Michigan did. They won't have a football team for a while. I'm just saying that's what will happen to them. He's hoping that Penn State does his job for him. He is. And thanks for the comment there, Music for Me. Does the NCAA even control the postseason in CFB anymore? That's a good question. They don't control the CFP. The rest of the bowls, I'm pretty sure they can still ban whoever they want from postseason play. And if the Big Ten had any kind of balls at all, they would ban them right now from any kind of conference appearance, any kind of postseason, as far as Big Ten postseason goes. They would ban their ass there. But they ain't going to, though. But Petitti doesn't pull that card. Everyone knows NCAA is not giving out death penalty to Michigan. No, they're not. If Peto State did not get it and Baylor did not get it, no way Michigan will. I thought about going through all of the repercussions, all of the penalties that Penn State and Baylor had. But when I look at it, Mike, you're right. Penn State should have had they should have gotten the death penalty over that. And if, look, NCAA, college football, ESPN, Fox, apparently none of them give two shits about kids, about what happens to them on campus. So, or women, Baylor. So, I mean, I know they got penalized pretty heavily, but nowhere near what it should have been. Those programs both probably should have got the death penalty. And you're right. That's what they did was way worse than anything Michigan has done. But we are talking about integrity of the game. I just wanted to make that separation. When I really thought about it, I'm like, I probably shouldn't compare what went on with Penn State and Baylor. Those are two different things on a human, disgusting, horrific criminal level. That's not where Michigan is. So I didn't want to compare the two. But you're right. As far as if you're just talking about Penn State or you're just talking about Baylor, yeah, they should have gotten the death penalty. AAR, they already know your playbook, but they really want to know exactly what you're going to do right then and there. It ain't just Michigan Wolverines. Well, I kind of have to agree with Mr. Flugar, until we hear from other teams. I'm not saying other people haven't tried it or someone else hadn't done it. There's just a lot of blatant shit going on with Michigan. And, it's one thing about the paying players. That's one thing. This is something a little more insidious to me. And I just don't know that everyone's doing it. Now, I'm sure maybe some other people have, but no one's gotten their hand caught in that cookie jar yet. Music for me, the CFP is completely separate. Yeah, you're probably right about that. But like I said, yeah, but CFP is different than the old whatever that former postseason. When we had the BS National Championship, BCS BS National Champion, what I always call them. Yeah, I think the NCAA had a little more control over the BCS than they do CFP. So, question is, well, if that's the case, then it's going to be way more up to Petiti to get some things done with the CFP, because there needs to be a postseason ban for that school. Be funny if NCAA did do a 3-year bowl ban, and since CFP games are bowl games, they would ban them from CFP while still saying it is just a bowl ban. Well, I don't know if they can do that. Now, that's kind of it. Now that's something I haven't thought about. So we got to look at, okay, who can actually ban them from postseason play? Petiti, CFP committee. That's who probably needs to do it. The combination of those two. Immaculate. Ross seems like he has one source and only one source. That's a lot of journalists, not just old Ross Dillinger. I mean, I remember John Canzano. I mean, he was like regurgitating everything from the Washington State president. Can't think of his name right off the bat. But same thing with him. There's just a little too much of that kind of crap going on. I mean, he has other people that are talking to him, but yeah, I see what you're talking about there, Immaculate. AAR, Michigan Wolverines pay the bills. Big Ten makes a bundle if Wolverines make the playoffs. Double if Ohio State Buckeyes do too. Money talks. True. And I know they both got in last year. They may both get in this year too. That's why I'm betting there's no postseason ban. Like I said, if that was what I was counting on. Maybe the NCAA steps in a year or two from now and hits them up. But if they are powerless to even do that, then what are we talking about NCAA? Maybe they could. I think the only thing they probably could do is cost you scholarships. They could possibly do some of that. But yeah, But without a postseason ban, everything else doesn't matter. Everything else doesn't matter. I don't think it makes a hoot holler of shit. We're talking about Michigan. The Michigan side got real confident the day the Stallions resigned and had a statement put out that he wouldn't be cooperating with investigators. Oh, he didn't have to cooperate. He'll have to cooperate with the FBI because they're the ones that are investigating his ass from the shit that he stole from the Air Force. Connor Stallions is going to be in a federal penitentiary. He's going to be in Leavenworth for a while. That's what's going to end up happening to his punk ass anyway. We don't need him to say jack shit. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. They're immaculate. We had a NIL expert on the show last night. He talked about females getting so much, and he claimed it was because of how much more active and visible they are on social media. That's true. And not to mention sex sells. And if you look at any of their social media, talking about the volleyball players, we're talking about the ladies with the pole vault, some damn good looking women. And they found a way to monetize it. I'm not saying it's OnlyFans or anything. All right, but they're not stupid. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that came out a while back, like I think a year after NIL. I was watching something, and they were talking about these ladies of college sports are just crushing the shit, doing very well. AR Reggie Bush got into trouble posting photos of a tricked out car on his MySpace or Facebook. It wasn't Facebook; it had been MySpace. From what I recall, 2,500, 3,000 rims, or something people found out about his mom's house. San Diego State or UCLA. Yeah, I remember a lot of that. Was that really MySpace though? Because that shit was like 2004, 2005. I guess MySpace was around then, so you're probably right. Mr. L, what's up, dude? The lack of a salary cap in baseball hasn't had its wealthiest teams winning trophies for a long while. Yankees and Dodgers had past success, but aren't juggernauts, especially as of late. True, you can't buy everything, and baseball's a little bit different. It's a little bit different in baseball there, Mr. L. Because the Yankees, look, the Yankees have bought several titles. All right, let's start, back in whatever it was, 1919 or some shit when they paid $1 million for Babe Ruth. I mean, that was $1 million back then. Think of what $1 million is in today's money. And that money paid for, it's the house Ruth built, man. I mean, how many championships did they get because of Babe Ruth? And they go out and spend. They don't spend money like that anymore. That's the one thing, Mr. L. The Yankees don't spend that kind of money. The Dodgers do a little bit. I know the Angels there for a while were spending a shit ton of money and getting nothing in return. So, you're right about a lot of that. But then again, you're also talking about a sport that has fully guaranteed contracts. So that hinders some things. And you're really, really, really dependent on your minor league baseball system. And if you ain't got the kids coming up, and if they don't really pan out, that's really going to hurt you. So it's a little bit of a different kind of deal than football, because football, it's a quick turnaround sport. NFL, you could go from worst to first or from first to worst. Really quick. Really quick. Depending on injuries, depending on your draft, depending on your free agents, who you trade away or don't trade away, things of that nature. Crazy thing is, the in-person scouting rule is due to how other schools might not be able to afford to do it. So the rule is applied to Power 5 athletic programs with hundreds of millions in revenue. I love how they group all the Power 5s. Trust me, Washington State does not have hundreds of millions in revenue. There's plenty of Power 5 schools that don't have that kind of dough. But however you want to do it, as far as in person, I don't care why the rule is there. It's a rule. Makes zero sense. Does to me. AR, this is all organized so Michigan and or Ohio State Buckeyes get into the playoffs along with Alabama Tide and Georgia Bulldogs, LSU, etc. Well, we only got 4 spots here, AAR. We only got 4 spots, and it's going to be hard to keep Florida State out of there. If Washington finds themselves undefeated, they're getting in. I mean, there's going to be one-loss teams hanging out to dry. Texas is not making the playoffs. I already dropped a whole video on that. No. There's too much that has to, because, dude, there's so many. You got 4 like Florida State is just not dropping another game. They're not dropping a game this year. Not the conference title game, nothing. They're going straight on through playoff. Georgia's going to be, I don't know how you keep them out. Even if they get beat by Alabama in the SEC title game, and that will be the matchup because Alabama's not dropping another game. If Alabama wins, I don't know how beats Georgia and takes the SEC crown. How do you keep them out? That's impossible. And if Georgia goes undefeated and then loses, how do you keep them out? I'm saying the winner of Ohio State and Michigan, that may be the only team getting in this year, their AR. And it's probably the same thing with the Pac. All right, it's going to be Oregon versus Washington, more than likely. Unless a big upset happens, it's going to be those two. And the winner probably goes to the playoffs. So I don't know what to tell Texas other than tough shit. Tough shit. AR, integrity of the game, long gone, my friend. Well, I'm just saying, with all their gambling partners, I guarantee you they want full integrity of the game. There's a lot of money riding on this shit. Mr. L, no, the NCAA has nothing to do. It makes zero money off the FBS, FB postseason. Whether it's bowls or playoffs, the NCAA does organize and is in charge of the FCS, FB playoffs. I hear you. I'm also wondering, though, can the NCAA work with the CFP and say, look, we got to ban them? Because, like, look, everyone adheres to NCAA rules as well, not just the Big Ten. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I just have this sneaking suspicion not much is going to happen to Michigan. Not nearly what should happen. BCS. It was the BCS. Immaculate. CFP is an NCAA, but its members and the folks that run the CFP are still under NCAA enforcement. They aren't trying to become a target. I hear you. That's a good point, too. Jeff Woodworth, I think the only person with enough power to ban Michigan is Ollie Gordon. You might be right. AR, this is Godfather Part 4, sports betting college football. New Jersey, Philly, Chicago, Detroit, LA, Cleveland, all controlling a football conference and major TV networks. But that's what I'm saying there, AR. You got to have that integrity in the game. You got to be able to trust that's a legit game. No one's got some kind of illegal advantage over on somebody. Too much money is being pumped in. Jeff Woodworth, U of A is missing hundreds of millions in revenue. Well, Let's find out if old Connor Stallions has a bank account somewhere in the Caribbean. Mike Smith, Georgia has their street racing team side hustle. AR, they're not trying to keep Bama or Michigan out. Texas Longhorns win out, they're likely in. Texas pays. No, sir. Even if they win out, because you got to think, AR, this, like I put out videos every week using a point system to determine where everybody is, at least, as far as the Big 12, Pac-12, and ACC are concerned. But the CFP, it's all based off of opinion and how you perceive each team. They perceive the Big 12 this year as being down. All right. And so the Longhorns being a one-loss team, that one loss being to Oklahoma, who isn't as good as everyone thought they were. And it's going to be hilarious. I'm going to roll on the floor, maybe even piss myself if West Virginia beats them this week. And I think West Virginia's got the juice to do it. I do. But a 2 or 3 win Oklahoma, or 2 or 3 loss Oklahoma team beating the Longhorns, that dooms them. Because the Pac-12 is a way better conference. At least the perception is this year. And according to my point system, they are. And the Big Ten is the Big Ten. All right, it's hell on wheels to keep Ohio State out of the playoff, or an SEC team, at least one. And I think you can agree, Florida State is already there. They're already there. They ain't losing. Even in a shit balls conference that the ACC is this year, and it is shitty balls. All apologies to Louisville, who's having an outstanding year. Even Duke is still having a pretty good year. A couple losses now, but still doing all right. UNC's doing all right. But there's no one really that close to Florida State there. It's kind of a one-horse race right now. But unlike Texas, they don't have any losses, and they're not going to suffer one. So I think that's the thing. The SEC team's getting in. There's a Big Ten team is getting in. At least one Pac team is getting in. The Pac's been too good this year. The story's too good. The perception, blah, 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 blah. So it comes down between really Texas and Florida State. Florida State's going to go undefeated. Texas can't say that. So they're going to be the odd man out. And there's going to be, look, what if Oregon only has one loss? All right. If Washington beats them, I guess technically that's 2 losses, but fuck you. I mean, let's say Ohio State loses to Michigan, and Michigan is undefeated and wins the Big Ten championship. Ohio State's won, same thing as last year. Their 1 loss is to Michigan, but this year they may not get in if Washington is undefeated, if Florida State's undefeated, and if Georgia's undefeated, and Michigan's undefeated, then Ohio State ain't getting in this year. Neither is Texas. And all that can happen really easily to me. Jeff Woodworth, Integrity Farms. AAR, CFP committee probably neutral on Florida State Seminoles. They travel well. Florida market, spend money. True. 11-1 Texas Longhorns likely get in. Texas is SEC in 2 months. They're not there yet, sir. If they were 11-1 in the SEC this year, I think you have a point. But there's a lot of teams that are going to have to drop the ball in order for the Texas to squeeze in. I'm not saying there's not a chance. I'm just saying there's not a chance. I've seen there's this, and not to mention all the close games they've been having. I mean, UCF played them close. Everyone's been playing them. I can't remember the last time they really just blew the doors off somebody. I mean, I think if it wasn't for really a badly called first half, offensive first half for Kansas State. Kansas State owned them. They owned them. Mike Smith. Hope Washington wins out and gets in. Penix would also get Heisman. I have no doubt that could happen. But look out for that Ollie. Look out for old Ollie out of Oklahoma State. Kid is a freaking beast. CFP committee doesn't give a rat's ass about the Big 12 conference. Kind of does it. They kind of does it. I will say this, AAR. Everyone thought if the Horned Frogs lost the conference title last year to Kansas State, that Horned Frogs weren't going to get in. They got in. And I think Alabama was one loss last year. I might be mistaken, but I think there were only one loss. I think Clemson, I believe, was only one loss. They didn't get in. USC only had one loss, I believe. Well, they lost the conference title game too. So anyway, there was a lot of big-time schools that you could have made a case. No, Alabama, I think, was 2 losses last year. But you could have made the case and left TCU out, but they didn't. Not to mention Cincinnati the year before. Virginia is tied with Louisville right now with just minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jesus. Virginia? They got like one win. Or maybe 2. Come on, Louisville. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, you future Big 12 son of a bitch. AAR, CFP committee doesn't care about University of Washington Huskies or Oregon Ducks. No, but they've put them both in the playoffs before their AAR. And now that the pack is dead and it's over with, I think they would like to honor them. There's some of that, I believe. Louisville lost to Pitt. Now Virginia is giving them a game. 2 of the worst teams in the ACC versus Louisville. Louisville got a problem of overlooking teams or something. Yeah. They had no business losing the Pitt. Unbelievable. Immaculate. Louisville crowd is small on a Thursday. Well, they got to think of a way to put asses in seats. Can't have that. Now, I doubt it's as bad as Stanford. That's embarrassing. My app saying 31-24 with Cards on top. Is that the correct score? Yep. Mr. L. Alabama had 2 losses. That was what I was thinking. But there were still people thinking Alabama should have got in over TCU. That kind of bullshit. Incomplete pass, Louisville ball. There we go. Clemson had 2. That's right. USC Trojans also last year. If you include the title game, because the Trojans lost to Utah in the regular season. I think they only lost to Utah in the regular season. And then they lost to Utah again. Kind of thing. Louisville is winning. They need to. Jeff Woodworth, having one Cinderella in makes better storylines, AAR. Yeah, but that Texas is not a Cinderella. TCU is a nice story. That one loss was a Big 12 conference championship. True. But AAR, they could have screwed TCU over if they wanted to. They could have put their beloved USC in there. Hell, they could have put Alabama in there. People would have screamed and pitched, and but you would have had other people in the media defend it. Like, well, look at the rating. Look at the rating that Alabama gets. Look at the rating that USC gets. So they didn't do that. So that gives me a little window of hope. All right, guys. I'm about to wrap this crap up for the night. I appreciate everybody being here. Remember, if you're elite, you probably won't get a ticket. a speeding ticket. You probably won't get properly punished if you break a few rules on integrity of the game issue. Whatever. Just remember who said it. Me. So I'll be waiting with bated breath to see what Petiti does in the coming days, or the CFP does ever, or NCAA if ever. I'll be waiting. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap. I'll be back with some more crap, more videos, more live streams, more blah, blah, blah later on. Good night, y'all.